Oh, the music is playing. About a second after I hit that go live button, because of course I can't get everything to work properly, perfectly all at the same time, but it is 3:05 in the afternoon, which means it is time for Shakespeare's coffee break. Why do you take it so late in the day, Shakespeare? Because this is the perfect time to blow off a little bit of work and have a nice cuppa. In fact, let's have a nice noisy slurp right now. Oh yes, that is good internet audio. Our music being, as always, provided by the Jackdaws. The song is Shakespeare Approves of This Theme Song. And I hope you are having a great day, because I really am as well. I went on a nice run, ran a 5K over my lunch with off-screen wife. We had a great time. And it's just a really nice, beautiful day. I hope you share in the conversation with us here. Susan Hill is watching. She may have put up a GIF. I have no idea, because there are no words right there. But hello, Susan. Thank you for watching with us. Love you. And our guest today is the one, the only, the multi-talented Andrew McKee, the Irish bard. He is a serial entrepreneur and one of the co-founders of Life's Affair, which is a podcast, which is a series of shows. It is a lifestyle, I think we might be able to say. So stick around and join us for some conversation. It's going to be a lot lighter than yesterday's show, but you need that. Sometimes you need to go serious, and sometimes take it to the opposite side and go very light. Susan says that her GIF was Forrest Gump waving, so see, just describe everything. Just treat it like you need to say everything of the description in the post before you put the post. I mean, like, let's just always do that from now on. But
hello, Susan Hill. And I don't know. Am I the only one here now?
No.
Did you cut fade out?
Instead of hitting stop sharing, I kicked myself out of the studio.
That is great. That is great. All of a sudden I was like, wait, what? What's going on? What happened?
Oh my Lord. That was amazing. Oh, this is what happens when you are your own full-on engineer and doing the social media with it and just everything. You have to hit all the buttons. And it was hovering. The stop sharing button was directly next to the leave studio button. And I didn't make sure where it was when I just hit click. So I could make nice, attractive eye contact with everyone.
You get a pass because you still manage doing both at the same time better than anybody I've seen so far. So
thank you.
You get a pass on that one, man.
Thank you. I think it just comes from years of pretending to look like I'm listening to people whilst I'm typing. I used to have a day job when my boss would just come into my office all the time, and he's talking about things while I'm under deadline, and I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah. I'm totally listening. Like I'm gonna be playing back the conversation later. Yeah. Oh goodness gracious. Oh, it is delightful. Ken Briota says that there's a multi-bard combo breaker. Goodness gracious. And then Susan says this is why she tunes in.
Yes.
She's like, I need to see half-assed television right now.
As a musician, if you wanted to hear a perfect show or see a perfect show, you just buy the CD. I mean, that live aspect is what's. Mistakes can have their own charm.
Oh, they really can. Yeah. And speaking of mistakes that have their own charm.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, Andrew McKee. Oh, I'm sorry.
Real quick, everyone, I'm going to just pretend this is the Shameless Self-Promotion Happy Hour, which is Fridays at 5:35, and actually tell you real quick about the Shakespeareans. The Shakespeareans. My one-man audience interactive improvisational Shakespeare show. That date right there needs to be corrected. It says currently September 23rd at 7:05 p.m. We are changing that day to be, wait for it, drum roll please. Louder drum roll please. There we go. Saturday, October 3rd. Saturday, October 3rd, we are doing the Shakespeareans. We're moving it into a Saturday show. You can stop your drum roll now.
Oh, okay.
You can stop it now. Jeez, oh man.
I'm not a drummer, so I don't really know how that works.
You know what? You're fine. I love you. We're going to be moving the Shakespeareans to a Saturday show. Basically give people that Renaissance fair thing of Shakespeare's going to happen in the middle of the afternoon.
Nice.
And we're going to do that with the Shakespeareans on Saturday, October 3rd. And tickets are only $10. And if you're a member of my Patreon, if you are a Patreon of the Arts, you get a $5 discount.
Nice.
So, I know. And if you like to play Dungeons and Dragons, you can just say it is your +5 finger discount.
Membership has its privileges.
Yep. That's a really bad joke.
I was trying to cover, but you went with it anyway. Okay.
I know. Oh, goodness gracious. But we're not talking about that right now. We'll talk about it again towards the end of the show. Let's talk about Shakespeare Reviews. And we're having a red carpet premiere for it. Andrew, would it be fair to say that Shakespeare Reviews is exactly the same as this show, but with a little bit more of a structure?
Okay,
because we've recorded a couple of episodes.
Structure, I think what you mean to say is that it has structure, and so yes. I think yes. It's
I don't accidentally kick myself out of the studio.
Or if you do, we cut away and gloss over it. But yes, it's it's a lot like this. Both of us together, split screen, talking about movies. It is a lot like that. Yeah.
The great thing on that is when it took us 2 hours to try to record the first episode because we were having just god awful connectivity issues.
Yeah.
And finally, it was just like we settled on a solution I think is really, really good of just me record myself on a separate camera that looks good. And the sound quality is so much better, and you don't have any glitchiness.
Yes.
And she's like, this is nice. Yeah, why aren't we doing this anyway? And why didn't we just say, let's have this going purely so we can hear each other?
Yes. And that's
and that's what we ended up doing for the next 4 or 5 episodes.
Yes.
But oh my god. It took us 2 hours to record that first 20
But we learned a lot in that 2 hours. So, I mean,
I learned a lot about myself and some really creative swear words.
I do remember that. I learned some new ones. I mean, as we all know, Shakespeare wrote words. I mean, he created words. What was it like? It depends on who you ask. It's like
alligator.
400 and something or 1700 and something. I mean, it just depends on which scholar you're talking
phrases, 1700-ish words, and
okay.
And most of the words were already in the lexicon. It's just Shakespeare's the first person to write them down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But also alligator, that is a Shakespeare original.
Excellent.
Yes, it is based off of Spanish, but Shakespeare's the first person to put it into English.
You also came up with what? Useful.
Yep,
is a word that Shakespeare came up, as well as useless.
Yeah. Yep. And
you cover both sides. I love that. You cover both sides.
We're finding out where this show lies right now.
You be the judge.
Oh goodness gracious. Oh Lord. Ken says technically a black hole has structure. Ken's watching on YouTube, and Susan on Facebook saying, well, tell me more about this thing you call structure.
Well, technically a black hole may have structure, but we don't fully understand a black hole. So,
you know what?
Maybe it seems like it has structure, but when you go down deep enough, chaos, crazy. You know?
Well, I think the
let's
chaos.
Be optimistic.
Well, going with that black hole analogy, the chaos is actually only, as far as we can tell, on the edges, because we say, to the best of our knowledge, it's infinitely dense at the center of a black hole. However, we're really going on this with just mid to late 20th century math and science, and then early 21st. we've never sent a probe into a black hole. We're measuring them from untold light years away. We're trying to figure it out from as far away as anything in the universe. And so we don't know. We don't know. Fly through it. Fly through it. See what happens then.
Yes.
Will your eyes turn black like Sam Neill? Will Satan inhabit your body like in Event Horizon? We don't know.
It could be Shakespeare's coffee break. Shakespeare's coffee break could be at the center of a black hole.
That's anything what we're doing. Anything is possible. We're there going, hey, how's it going? Why are you going to kick myself out of the studio?
Shakespeare's coffee break brought to you from the center of a black hole.
That's what we're saying next time. We're going to really attract this. We're going to really attract the science audience. Kitty Chaos says, "Is it? Should we just say you some? You some?"
Well, you know, I mean, if Will says that that's a word, it's apparently a word. He has that power.
I'm declaring it now. So, but let's talk about what Shakespeare reviews are, and I'm going to give you the main portion of the screen here, so you can talk about our new show.
Oh, excellent. Well, the red carpet premiere is a premiere where we're going to get together with some other people and talk about our clothes and how we're getting ready for the show and how wonderful it's going to be. A lot of fun. It's going to be great. And then that's going to lead into the Shakespeare Reviews show. Now, this is where we discuss a film that was inspired or is a direct adaptation of a Shakespeare play. Now, I'm comfortable saying what the first episode is now, in case you want to watch it in advance. It is 1968's Zeffirelli's production of Romeo and Juliet. It's going to be, the classic Shakespeare movie and with the classic Shakespeare play. And it is going to be really interesting. We get into some interesting discussions, debates, and a lot of fun silliness talking about this movie and how good it is, how bad it is, where they succeeded, where they failed. And, surprisingly, Shakespeare can be a little judgmental about how his work is interpreted.
I have opinions.
He does. He has opinions. And
I have opinions.
He does. So yes, if you like this show, it has a similar dynamic with two people discussing something, but that something is at least relatively fixed. We go down a few tangents, but we try to stick to the main topic. Where here, we'll be talking about we'll be talking how Daleks would react to mushrooms. I mean, at the end, who knows? Anything.
Are we talking about psychedelic mushrooms or just regular edible mushrooms, or are you talking about mushrooms you'd find in the forest that are potentially poisonous?
I think we'd play the mushroom field.
Is that like a strawberry field? And does it go on for forever?
Yeah, right.
And you find out in the center of the black hole. See, we brought it around.
We always bring it back because, the black holes are always going to bring everything back at some point.
They're infinite. You're not going to escape it.
Yeah, nope, you can't. You can delay, but you cannot escape.
Susan says, tangent, drink. So, all right, there we go.
Oh, right.
Speaking of, what is your beverage this day, sir?
Right now, it is tea.
Ooh,
regular black tea.
Black tea. Is it Irish breakfast?
No, just standard black tea. No frills, no silliness, no craziness. Simple black tea for your caffeine pleasure.
There you have it. I am drinking a unfortunately ground, but still reasonably tasty, Pete's Major Dickinson coffee. Nice. Yeah, I say unfortunately ground because I had ordered it from the grocery store. I'm just doing that, pickup thing, and and you had the option of clicking how you want the coffee. Do you want the bean? Do you want ground coffee? Do you want and if you do want it ground, do you want it for a coffee filter? Do you want it espresso fine? Or do you want it like quartz for a French press? And I picked quartz for a French press because that's what I have. And I did not get that. I got for a standard filter. So it doesn't taste as good. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. But, yep. Were I the type to leave reviews for grocery pickup,
yes,
it would go down a little bit. It would not be 5 stars. It would be 4.5.
Yeah. Perfection is a goal. You not really a destination.
No. I fully agree with you. However, I also think it is perfectly possible to follow written instructions. Such as exit, enter. Or that's why so many of the lines in the plays are, I'm going to leave now. And so I leave you. Because people weren't taking the hint of GTFU. Just get out. Get off the stage. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, goodness.
Oh, mercy.
Oh, mercy me. Is it a black tea hole, Susan, or is it a black coffee hole? I mean, I want to know.
Oh. Well,
I like my holes like I like my coffee black.
I have to admit, I'm not a coffee fan. I know sacrilege. I am not a coffee fan. In fact, it's even worse than that. I have never had coffee.
Really?
Yes.
Not
really.
even once.
Not even a taste.
Wow.
I know.
That's just impressive. That's akin to Baxter eating an entire wheel of cheese and then pooping in the refrigerator. And I'm not upset. I'm just impressed.
I'd never. Okay, here's a little tidbit. I'd never had a drop of alcohol in my life until I was 35.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Well, may I ask what at 35 made you decide to imbibe?
Oh, a girl.
Everyone's doing it.
I know, right? I mean,
everyone's having a drink. It's fun.
Yeah. I mean, why do I do anything? Why did I become a musician? To impress women? Come on, let's be honest.
Course, yes. Hi.
I mean, yeah. Why did you become a writer? To impress women?
No women when I started writing found it impressive.
Well, that's what prompted you to get so good at it.
Oh, there we go.
See, that's the thing.
What prompted me to become an actor was to meet girls when I was a lad. But goodness, at the age of 35, you had your first alcoholic beverage. You had your first drink.
Okay, the quick version is that I was hurting her career by not drinking.
You were hurting her career. None of this makes sense.
She was a lawyer. So we'd go to office parties, and she would we would go there, and it was old school law firm, and the guys would go off and smoke a cigar and drink some whiskey. They didn't invite her, even though she was a lawyer at the firm. But the guys would go.
A place to work.
Well, yeah, there's that too. But that was how they went, and they would invite me. They invited me the first time, and then I was like, well, I don't really drink and I don't smoke, and they're like, oh. So then next time they didn't invite me, and that meant she was shut out of that world completely. If I was there, she was at least represented, and and she made the point. She didn't pressure me really, but she made the point. And I was kind of like, I was thinking, at some point in my life, I'd have a glass of wine with dinner just for health reasons. So, why not? Okay. So yeah, I took my first drink, and that was, and of course, then all the gloves were off because I told my friends, oh, I'm actually trying alcohol now. And then it was like, okay, we're going out. Okay, you're coming. You got to try this and you got to try that. And in about 6 months, I'd tried every single alcoholic beverage known to man.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
What about the alcoholic beverages known to women?
That too. And apple teenies galore. And there was not my palate was so, it tasted
Full disclosure. I love a good apple teeny.
Well, okay, fair enough. But my palate was so not developed for alcohol. It tasted like formaldehyde a lot of the time to me.
Yeah.
It was and if you're asking how I know what formaldehyde tastes like, well, okay, I started as a chemical engineering major in college, and chem lab accidents happen. Anyway, so
is that a chem lab accident, or is that a chemical engineering students going, do it?
I refuse to answer on those grounds. That really is sad.
Because I just need to point out, at 35, you really shouldn't succumb to peer pressure.
Oh, honestly, I wouldn't have, other than, like I said, at some point I'd already planned to just have a glass of wine with dinner anyway. So it wasn't like it just wasn't a religious reason why I was just like, oh, I'm never having alcohol ever because it is against my moral and ethical code. But
I have to say, well, first off, good for you, and
my liver loves me, so there's that.
And I hope that relationship worked out very well for you.
One of the worst I've ever had, actually. So there's that.
Aren't you glad you started drinking for that person? But dear God, that reminds me of an episode of it was a '90s show, Sisters, starring Celia Ward and Swoosie Kurtz.
Okay.
So I believe it was Celia Ward. You're on Sisters Talk night. You're on '90s dramedy talk here on Shakespeare's Coffee Break.
Yes,
I believe it was Celia Ward who was the recovering alcoholic, and she was dating, possibly married to a gentleman who was running for political office, and the wife of another politician comes up, because all the politicians were men, of course, comes up and hands her a drink. She goes, no, I'm in recovery. She says, you're at a fundraising gala. You have to have this in your hand in order to talk to people. And she's like, oh, interesting. And I don't remember if she fell off the wagon or if it was just like, I'm just going to hold it. I'm just holding this the entire time. It's a prop. But I love being the sober person at when everyone else is having a drink or two around me, just because like they'll get, especially if they're just lightly drinking, like, they'll get a little sillier, and then I will often have something in my glass, but just bring it to my lips and put it down. They're just like, oh. And some people are like, oh, you just drink it very slowly. Other people are like, are you just amazing at holding your liquor? Because they see me raise it and they see alcohol, presumably alcohol. Apple juice works great too in my glass. Right. But it's a good time. I enjoy it quite a lot. And everyone at Renaissance festivals, just, I guess, the nature of what we do, everyone always assumes I have alcohol in here. Although my fans are now getting very trained at, everyone just assumes I have coffee in here at all times. Although that works, yes. Just as likely that I have water at any given moment.
Yeah, I played Irish music in pubs for years. And people would buy pints and everything for the musicians. And when I was playing with Mark Gunn back in the day, they, he got double, because they'd buy us each a pint of Guinness, and I'd say, "Okay, Mark, you get 2 pints. I'll do the driving," and it was like that. But it was interesting. I'm saying about beer, and I'd never tasted it before. It was kind of interesting.
I very unintentionally insulted some fans at, I think it was the New York Renaissance Fair years ago. They said, I want to buy you a drink. I said, oh, thanks, I don't drink right now. Like, I'm going to get you there, and just, I don't drink on a fair day, none of that. And then I finally said, I will happily take the money if you just want to throw the money into my hat.
There you go.
And both the refusal of the drink and saying, I'll just take the cash.
Yeah.
Both of those things insulted people. Because I'm like, I'm obviously insulting this person. I want them to feel like I'm not trying to be ungracious, that you want to show some love and affection and gratitude for me bringing entertainment. And no, it went south. It was just like, nope.
Generally at Faire, I would just say that we're not allowed to drink on site, because most of the time we're not.
Most shows, no. Most shows, you are not.
There are exceptions, and since I've at Louisiana Ren Fair, the whiskey tasting, I'll play music for there, and they hand me a whiskey to go along with the tasting. And now, since I started, actually drinking, I could be like, okay, and hello, and I'll do that, but that's about all.
When I show up to those real quick, they know me well enough that they'll hand me something that is very not alcoholic, because I do not like I don't like any of the buzz or anything. when I'm working, when I'm performing. Also, I have a bit of a drive after a fair day most of the time, and then finally, as you said, it tastes like formaldehyde. I don't know what formaldehyde tastes like. I know what it smells like, but I don't like most alcohols. No, just not for me. No.
Okay, well, how about that? What is your favorite alcoholic beverage? Let's go there. Let's say
I don't have one.
You don't have a favorite at all.
I don't have one.
What's your most tolerable alcoholic beverage?
I don't know.
If you were like saying, okay, you got to have a toast and make a drink and take a drink. We've got everything. I'm at a bar, open bar. What do you want?
Well, it's theoretically bad luck to toast with water. However, that only comes around because water was poisonous. That's fair. But we held on to that because we're a nation of alcoholics. Let's see.
I mean, not putting you on the spot. You don't have to answer. I was just throwing it out.
You know what? Forget where I had it. But like a chocolate stout.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of whiskey.
See, and that's the one that I feel most comfortable with whiskey.
Yeah.
Which is odd, but...
Rum, depending what it's mixed with. Like, I don't drink anything straight. Maybe a rosé. Maybe a nice rosé wine, but I find most of them taste disgusting to my palate. Some hard ciders, but not like these store-bought ones. But like if you go to a place, you know, you go to a winery or a cidery, is that a thing? Yeah. You're on alcohol talk here on Shakespeare's Coffee Break.
I know, right? Do you like mixed drinks at all? I mean, that kind of thing?
Not really. The closest
sometimes those can not taste like alcohol.
Yeah, the closest thing to a mixed drink I like is occasionally an Irish coffee. So I guess I like whiskey in that regard, like a Jameson with a coffee.
Sure.
But it has to be mostly coffee.
Yeah.
I am very much no. I'm like, sometimes sure. It's like, hey, I want to try it. So for instance, when we went to Disney World last year.
Sure.
At Epcot, we were doing the drinking around the world thing.
Yes.
Or rather, I was. My wife, off-screen wife, she would get a thing, take a sip, because she likes to taste things, and she's like, this.
Sure.
Nice. And then hand it to me. Take one for the team. And so you're just seeing me.
I taste. You do cleanup.
Yeah, just seeing me get progressively sloshed. I'm very knackered by the end of it, and it's just like, oh my God, this Mary Poppins, I love her. I need to tell her how much she meant to me, and oh my God, and she's like, shh, it's okay.
I hope you were staying at one of the Disney hotels that was close.
Oh God, yes. Oh, by the way, by the by, and this is not advocating for the mouse specifically.
Oh, fair enough.
This is just me being a fan.
Sure.
But crunching the numbers, we went for 2 weeks, more, just under maybe. A 2-week Disney vacation is only slightly more expensive than a 1-week Disney vacation.
Yeah.
And by slightly, I meant in the couple, maybe not even $100 zone.
Negligible.
The tickets for the park for 10 days was the exact same price as the ticket for the parks for 5 days. And the resort, there's always a deal. You may not get the resort hotel you want specifically, but there's always a deal. And we stayed at the Caribbean, partly because it looked really fun, and partly because there was construction happening, which meant pew. And then this is Gred. There was a massive electrical storm which knocked out the power, and it caused a cascade effect, even though the generators are largely set up to avoid cascade effects, but just happened at just the right time, moment, etc., that over half of the overall Disney property lost power. And where we were specifically, we had no power for the better part of 8 hours. Wow. So everyone at our hotel got a full night's refund plus extra money in Disney dollars, which basically meant we could eat for free and or buy merchandise, and was just put onto these wristband things. And I'm like, this is amazing. Do this all the time.
Yeah, you can so work those deals and get phenomenal.
You really can.
It's money, but once you start figuring out everything you get, it's hard to say that you got taken advantage of.
No, and we had obviously it was not an inexpensive vacation. It's just it was very doable, and we both have very modest incomes.
Yeah,
but it was very doable, and like, this was awesome. This was grand. We did not do Universal and anything that trip. We were just Disney only, but it also meant we hardly ever had to use our car, except for once or twice to run to the grocery store to pick up some snacks that we didn't want to. So also snacks that we couldn't find there, because being a vegetarian, borderline vegan, it's sometimes difficult to find what you want.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But the dining options, because we had also gone the year before when the late and lamented Renaissance Festival of Central Florida was happening.
Okay.
One season only festival. Sad, very sad. We had gone the year before, and the vegetarian and vegan options were, but what a difference a year made. It went from to
wow.
Oh yeah, amazing. So tangent within a tangent, says Susan. Double drink. All right, well done.
Okay. Maintain
hydration. There we go. And what else could people expect on Shakespeare Reviews? We're going to find out in just a moment. But first, I've got to pay some bills. So let us go over and talk about our sponsor for today's show, Hill Storage and Rigging Company. Hill Storage and Rigging Company, you can find them by going to hillrigging.com and also calling their phone number, 717-944-7676. Enjoy the peace of mind that comes from knowing your equipment is in skilled and experienced hands, with services from our machine movers and erectors in Middletown, PA. Established in 1967, Hill Storage and Rigging Company is a family-owned and operated full-service millwright, serving industries in the Mid-Atlantic states and beyond. We're a woman-owned small business with hours of operation Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, available Saturdays and Sundays by appointment only. Hill Storage and Rigging Company, you can find them again at hillrigging.com and by calling 717-944-7676. Hill Storage and Rigging Company, no job too large or too small. And thank you. Thank you, Hill Rigging, for being the sponsor of Shakespeare's Coffee Break. Now, if you would like to become a sponsor of Shakespeare's Coffee Break, just send me an email to shakespeare@shakespeareapproves.com. And while you're there, decide, I want to go off and like all Shakespeare's things. So on Facebook, you can go like this show specifically, Shakespeare's Coffee Break, but also like the main page, Shakespeare Approves. And find me on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. And also, that link now works with and without that C. Isn't that neat? Yep. And also a big shout out to my friends, the Zenith Players. We share a lot of resources. So follow them on Facebook, facebook.com/ZenithPlayers, and by going to zenithplayers.com. And whilst you're there, click on the very attractive donation button. But now, back to my conversation with my dear friend and colleague, Andrew McKee, the Irish bard, co-creator of Life's a Faire.
Yes.
And let's talk a bit about that before we get back into Shakespeare Reviews, Andrew.
All right. Yeah, Life's a Faire. This has sort of been an idea that's been developing for over a decade. And kind of initially it was going to just be a podcast. We were thinking, okay, we'll start with a podcast and we'll release it, work on it all through this year and release it sometime in August or something. But then the pandemic happened and we were like, oh, we need to jump on this right now, because first of all, we're going to have the time. And second of all, there are going to be people that want to talk about things, and we shouldn't wait on that. So we jumped right in and started it back in March. And also partly because of my technical expertise, we jumped in to do shows for different performers and help produce shows and get their shows up online so that they could continue to have a career during all of this, and I'm very proud of what we've accomplished with that. And then we started developing more shows and more ideas, which has led to this, the Shakespeare Reviews and other things too. Now you'll find on Thursday nights we have a gathering of Faire where we have some performances, and tomorrow it is going to be our this Saturday is Talk Like a Pirate Day.
Ooh.
I don't know if you knew that. Yeah, Talk Like a Pirate Day. So in honor of that, tomorrow night we're doing pirate themed. We have the Naughty Nauticals and the Whiskey Bay Rovers, and that should be a lot of fun. So that'll be 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on the Life's Affair page on Facebook and YouTube.
Oh my, very nice.
Facebook.com/Life's Affair and YouTube.com/Life's Affair.
Excellent, very good. And since and might as well talk about this, since Facebook is starting to bring in more restrictions, with like covers of songs up to and including you're performing it live in that moment, are you migrating away from Facebook?
Maybe. I mean, here's the thing. It looks like from what I'm reading, there's a lot of people who are worried about this, but nobody really knows what's going to happen. It's all just like there's a few comments about this, and this is what it could mean, and that's how it's being interpreted. So I'm not sure it's going to be a huge thing yet. And from looking at what Facebook is reacting to, we're not the target here. They're reacting to people recording live concerts and putting them up. That's what they're really freaking out about for the most part, and I get that. That's sort of the thing. We're not exactly their target, but we might get caught in the middle of this issue.
That's what I'm worried about. Us getting caught up in.
Now, generally, when we have musicians on, we try to avoid copyrighted material. We say, do public domain stuff or stuff you wrote yourself. And
fun thing on that, I got a video flagged for performing a song I owned.
Yes.
And I'm like,
was it at least flagged for you? I mean, was it flagged as the representative of you saying that you owed yourself money? I mean, was it at least that?
It was basically, this is copyrighted material. It's like, yeah, I know. I own the copyright.
Go ahead, fight me on it. It'll be fun.
Yeah. So it took a day to get it back up. I'm like, that was weird.
Oh, they took down the video because of it?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, wow.
They did. It was fun. It was last year. The artist formerly known as the Creepy Bard, now the Foxy Bard, he and I were performing a song that we do together. A song that is based off of an earlier original song, but through fair usage and everything and changing stuff around, the music is now a new arrangement, but the lyrics were entirely new and original by me, to which I also own the copyright. And it got taken down. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I mean, if it does start to get that way, we're going to have to start looking at moving some stuff. But we're already on YouTube as it is. We're right at the beginning in March. We split all of our streams to both options, and of course there are other online options as well. So we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, Susan asks, Lower Decks got censored too, did it not? Yes, my Thursday evening show, Talking Track, we were playing the trailer for Lower Decks a week or two before Lower Decks was supposed to air, and our video got taken down off of Facebook, but it was still up on YouTube. And we're like, why? This is literally serving as an advertisement for a product, and it got flagged. I mean, we got it put back up later, but it's just one of those weird things of like, hey, do you understand how the internet works?
And you got to realize this never was a conscious decision. This is a group of people writing a bot that just scans everything, and it just says, flag, boom.
It's just funny. It's just like, I don't think that bot understands how the internet works. And it's just like, it's everybody talking about other stuff.
Well, I think the companies, what they figured out is that we can try to make an intelligent bot to do it, and we're going to miss on some things.
But that also brings us Skynet.
Yeah. Or we can just do everything, and if it's actually legitimate, we'll undo it, but we'll actually we'll protect ourselves better, and we'll make more money in the process. And it's a money thing.
So side effect of that was me and going in and flagging the trailer for Star Trek V, the Final Frontier. and getting that taken down, and then just kept arguing about it for about 2 weeks.
Nice.
So the official CBS Paramount thing of, oh, this is oh, you want to watch it? Oh, here you can watch it. You can stream it and blah blah blah. Watch it on Netflix. And nope, you couldn't see that.
Great service to science fiction there.
You couldn't see that trailer for a little while because I am petty and vindictive, and because of the quarantine time, I've got time on my hands.
You do. You do indeed.
It's just, and I was just paying attention to it a little bit every day. Just like, where are we? Nope, I'm still arguing.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, what? And just like, and so it was just so funny. And finally, I got a message of like, no, we have determined that this is theirs. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Are you sure,
YouTube? No, that's just great. I love it. Yeah. I mean, there are a few other science fiction movies and TV shows I would love to be able to take down on YouTube and Facebook, because they're really hurting science fiction and fantasy.
Indeed.
Existing. They really are.
They truly genuinely are.
They really are.
But you know what? To one extent, you know what? I'm going to take back my agreement with that. It's not hurting science fiction and fantasy.
Oh,
it is confusing science fiction and fantasy.
Okay, maybe that's
because people are like, oh no. I mean, it's like things like that. It's why people think, oh, this isn't worth it. This isn't a real genre worth investing time in. And so you could argue that hurts it. However, it doesn't take anything away from other good work. All right, sort of like when people say, when there's a remake of something, oh, you're ruining the original. It's like, no, you're not. The original is still there for you to go see, watch, read, enjoy, etc., and so on and so forth. It doesn't change the original unless it's actually the author coming in and saying, oh, no, this changes that. And just like, and even then I can argue, no, that original is still there. You still have your memories of how you thought and felt with it. Keep that precious. I mean, some people say George Lucas raped my childhood with the making of the prequels. And I'm just like, no, he didn't. He attempted to make something a little bit more, in some ways, introspective and looking at actual issues than did the original hallowed 70s and 80s trilogy. But it didn't take anything away from that.
No, definitely not. Now, doing the special editions and not allowing anybody to buy the actual original ones that we might have seen in our youth that we fell in love with, that might be a different argument.
Yeah, no, that is a different one, because that is going into muddling with it.
Yeah.
But you can now actually get those. So
yes, but for a long time you could not.
No, you couldn't. But it was grand. I had on VHS the originals. And right next to them on my bookshelf, because I thought it was funny, I had the reissue originals. And the great thing is, I got them on the same day at the same store. And I'm like, this is just great. This is great. This is just funny to me. And one was in a silver box and one was in a gold box. And I'm like, I just thought it was funny. My friends were like, why do you have that? No, why are you giving him more money? And I'm like, because it's funny to me. And it cost, and they were cheap. They were on sale at like the Wall or whatever.
Yeah.
Which I think got bought out by FYE.
I think my biggest issue with remakes is my issue with cult classics. Like, you get a movie that somehow managed to become so famous, like one of the best movies of all time ever made, and then you're going to say, I'm going to do a remake. I can do as good as that. I mean, the ego. I mean, why would you try to remake a classic? Like when they remade Psycho in the 90s.
Oh, the Gus
in
Van
the
Sant
world.
version.
What?
The Gus Van Sant version.
Yeah. I mean, what in the world were they thinking? It's, some lesser films, like maybe, it was a cute film, a good film. Very good film. Okay. I mean, I can see modernizing a movie or remaking that, but a cult classic, a famous, like remaking Casablanca, they haven't done that yet, but by that logic, they should. And I'm just kind of like, you're an idiot, because no.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the only reason they haven't is because it would be a little more difficult to modernize. But it's still, it's nuts. I don't see the point. Make something new, be original, as opposed to stealing from others.
I think it's a little bit of the same thing we get to do in theater. No one questions it. No one bats an eye.
Oh.
Yes, a revival.
Yes.
Oh, they're doing a revival of insert name of show here. For instance, I'm a huge fan of the Broadway play 1776.
Oh, me too. I love it.
And I have the original cast soundtrack, which is actually you can't get the movie soundtrack. It does not exist.
I know.
You get the original cast soundtrack with not Howard Da Silva, but whoever was his understudy on Broadway, because his voice, like, he was sick when they were doing the album, which is really funny. Yeah. But you have William Daniels and Ken Howard, etc. I got to see Brent Spiner do it in the 90s, and I also have that soundtrack.
Wow, that would be awesome.
And it was grand, and it's a slight reimagining. It's different actors, different directors bringing their thoughts, their sensibilities, and saying, I want to play in that world for a little while. And so doing it with film, I get it. That is why you see remake after remake. But also partly because from the studio's point of view, it's a known property that will theoretically make money.
I see that. I mean,
because it made money before.
It was done. I mean, back, the 20s, the 30s, the 40s. I mean, they did remakes galore. And sometimes they got to classic films by doing remakes.
Well, the Wizard of Oz that we have is a remake.
Yeah. The Maltese Falcon is the second remake. They had two versions of it before in the 30s. And, they finally made it right. And it makes sense. I mean, Warner Brothers, they bought the rights to it. They already owned it.
Maltese Falcon was MGM.
No, I'm pretty sure that was Warner Brothers.
Okay. I'm not going to look it up. I'm just... You at home can look it up.
I'm pretty sure it was Warner Brothers, but...
All right.
But yeah, either way, I mean, they already owned it, and they remade it a couple times, and they had some success with it before, and it's very common. But once they actually made it and it became a cult classic, they didn't make it again. And they would show it again. They'd have revivals. They'd show the movie again. Years later, they'd bring it up and say, "Okay, we're doing it." Chaplin used to do that with his films. He'd have some of his classics, and he'd have a revival and show his films 10, 20 years later. So I don't know. I mean, the weird thing about film. Okay, here's my thing about films versus plays, and this is why plays are great in their own way for me. And correct me if I'm wrong or you disagree, and I'm sure you will, because you're you. But
I'm disagreeing with you. Maltese Falcon was Warner Brothers.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. But yeah, it was with plays. There's a little bit of a variation every time you see it. I mean, it's not a static, locked in time thing. I mean, you do have understudies who come in and change the feel of the play the night you see it. And if you see it multiple times, it's not quite the same.
Yes.
But
it's a living, breathing.
It is, and that's what makes it special and great. I mean, that's what plays, in my opinion, have over movies, hands down, and they always will.
Yes.
But movies, they're kind of they're in a vacuum. They're locked in time, and you see it several times, and it should be relatively close to the exact same every time, unless you're George Lucas. And doing that, and with that, you get this whole experience that is not just this. You have that memory of when you were a kid, when you saw it, when you were older, when you saw it, when you're on that first date with your now wife, you saw it, when you're on your, all of these different times in your life that made that extra special, not just a good movie. And you want to relive that experience as much as you can. And that's what often makes those great. It's that whole connection with the experience, not as much. I mean, it's it itself, but it's both. And trying to redo it, I think it's just with a classic film. I think it's a mistake. I think That's my thing. I mean, I just think you're never going to do as well because the odds of making a classic film are so against you.
All right.
The ego to do that. But then you get a movie like You've Got Mail. There was a remake of Shop Around the Corner from 1940.
Mm-hmm.
Shop Around the Corner, cute film. Jimmy Stewart. It was a good film at the time. Not great, but
it's adorable. It's
an adorable film then. And the remake where they modernized it with email as opposed to pen pals, brilliant. Great cast, great job. And that's how you do a remake now. I mean, because it wasn't a cult classic. It's not in AFI's top 100 films of all time. So, I mean, who are you walking on?
So this is a wonderful segue coming back into talking about our new show, Shakespeare Reviews.
I was trying awfully hard.
Oh, no, that's beautiful because we're not getting into anything yet where we are going to be looking at remakes or someone else's take on it, but eventually we will. For instance, one of our first 4 films that we're reviewing is Hamlet by Laurence Olivier.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually we're going to get to the Mel Gibson Hamlet.
Oh, yes.
There's the Zeffirelli Romeo and Juliet, but there's also Romeo plus Juliet, the Baz Luhrmann version.
Mm-hmm.
So
when Romeo Must Die, the action-packed one, because that's
when you're dealing not just with this is based on such as 10 Things I Hate About You with Taming of the Shrew, which I am so looking forward to us doing that one. That's going to be amazing. And also itself is so great it gets spoofed later on, and we can talk about that. For instance, with Not Another Teen Movie, which amazing. But going back, what are your feelings? And this is a conversation we're going to have again when we get into, let's look at a different version. What are your feelings of a remake in the Shakespearean canon when it comes to films? When you're going from an Olivier to a Mel Gibson or to Kenneth Branagh?
Well, yeah, I mean, the interesting thing there with Shakespeare is that is the interpretations.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
no, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different interpretations of a play, and what the motivations, everything. I mean, and you can change it. Now, another aspect of Shakespeare that has been utilized so much in plays for so many years is the fact that you can use the same dialogue and put it in any setting and it works.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the background is actually less important. And it's so universal, the emotions and the feelings and the language that, I remember seeing a live production of The Taming of the Shrew. It was one of the first live Shakespeare plays I ever saw. And Petruchio rode into Verona on a Harley motorcycle on stage. And it was great. I was just like, I was blown away by that. I was like, oh gosh, how old was I? Like 8 years old or something? And watching this, and it hit me that, wow. I mean, I remember seeing Coriolanus in World War II battle gear.
You saw a live production of Coriolanus?
Yeah.
Also, by the way, thank you for pronouncing it correctly.
Thank you.
But
but yeah. I mean, well, 4 years of Latin, So, but yeah, when I was a kid, I'm just going to say this right now. I have an older sister who has been so much of an influence on me, a positive influence. I just want to thank you so much, Rachel. Thank you.
Rachel, thank you.
Because my love of music, I would not be playing Ren Fairs. I would not love science fiction and fantasy like I do. All of these things are because of her influence. So, yes. So, but yeah, she, English degree, loved the classics and everything. And there was, when I grew up in Houston, they had the Houston Shakespeare Festival, like they do in a lot of cities every summer, 2 Shakespeare plays every year. And it was in the main Herman Park there, Miller Outdoor Theater, and it was free. You could go there and watch them. If you wanted, you could wait in line in the morning and get a limited number of tickets, or you could sit on a hill and watch it. We went and got tickets. We'd go in the morning, make it a family thing, all enjoy it and get tickets. And then that evening go and watch the play. And so every year, 2 plays a year, boom, 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 boom. So I've seen a few Shakespeare plays. definitely. More than the average person by far, and I'm very pleased about that.
You know, so, I've never actually seen a production of Coriolanus. So to that end, I think it's going to be one of the next shows that I alter for my shows to do it in a silly Run Fair version, just because it's one of those things that no one knows it, and so it's just like
that is true.
And so I'm just going to have fun. I do the same thing with Richard II. For instance, very few people know the story of Richard II, and so my version of it is even dumber. Because it becomes Richard Too Fast, Too Furious. Yeah, it's just like, let's have fun. Like the ones that everyone knows, it's like, okay, I'm going to go in a different direction. It's going to be silly and dumb, but we're going to keep to more or less the big story that you know. With Richard II, I adhere to the story so closely, but nearly substituting all dialogue with quotes, not just from the Fast and Furious films, because that's fun.
Yes.
But with quotes from other films featuring Vin Diesel and Dwayne Johnson. It's just like, no, we just got to go there. So, like,
I like it.
I quote Moana and Guardians of the Galaxy and all these things in there just because I can. And it's just like, it's a little bit of name that quote. Just name it. Let's just have fun and still go through. And I'm like, and I'm still narrating the story of, and then this happened, and Bushy, Baggett, and Green, they all get executed. And then, but also, there's an epic showdown between these two gigantic shaved head individuals. And it's like, wait, what?
I feel like I need to go watch Chronicles of Riddick again.
Oh, you absolutely do, because it makes it in there. Yes, no, we talk about how he can see in the dark, and then Bolingbroke asks him, why are you telling me that? He goes, I just thought it'd be something interesting that you should know. Just like, all right, it's grand. So you're all right then with different actors and directors taking their take on Shakespeare. Filmography.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, I think it's different if the source material comes from a play that has had so many revivals. It predates the concept of a movie revival, a movie remake.
Fantastic.
I mean, because that's totally different. I mean, I think a lot of it is perception, and people have that perception of Shakespeare changes over time.
Yes.
But movies, I don't think that's quite the same, because people have that nostalgia for this is how it was. Yeah. When I first saw it with movies.
Very good. Well, I love it.
That's my take anyway.
And if that's not a ringing endorsement for Shakespeare Reviews, I don't know what is. Andrew, what is your favorite part about making this show?
Oh, wow. You know, honestly, I have two favorite parts. One, that we get to talk about a movie. I mean, talk about Shakespeare. I mean, you are so well versed in Shakespeare. I mean, let's just be honest. You are. You kind of have to be. But you go the extra mile, and because of that, it's really fascinating to get your take on it. I mean, I love movies. I'm a huge movie buff in general, so that I'm coming at it from that perspective. But it's really fun to talk with you about it. But also, the other part I love so much is, oh gosh, we have to prep for our next show. What do we have to do? Got to watch a movie. I mean, it's like the easiest prep work known to man. I love it.
The 1 week it was really funny because I'm just like, all right, cool. When are we doing this? Oh, when we originally decided the movies, it was like a month away. I'm like, all right, cool. Watch a movie a week. That's fine. And then we got into the week before, and I hadn't watched any of them. I'm like, I gotta
marathon time.
I gotta watch a lot of movies, but there's also TV shows I want to binge, and I have other things I'm working on. Crap. And so my wife watched a couple with me.
Oh, nice.
She watched Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead with me, and so she kept asking me, "So what is happening?" And I'm like, and I said, "Yep." You are correct. But and that is actually, funnily enough, a question asked in the movie.
Yes, it is. Yes,
but
God, the thing to remember is this is kind of what it's about. I don't think we were clear on this part, that how we approach this is that we both come in and we film 4 episodes at a time, and it's great because you pick 2 movies, I pick 2 movies, and so far, and we might not stick with this all the time, but for now, what we're kind of doing is doing a more traditional adaptation and then a very loose adaptation, and those are our 2 picks. And I kind of like that.
Eventually, you're going to run out of one or the other.
Yeah, maybe
not for a while.
Yeah, it's going to be a while though, and by the time we start to, they'll have a few new Shakespeare adaptations out. So they always do. Yeah. Never dies. Never.
I mean, but also I'm looking forward to getting back into adaptations by some of the same artists. For instance,
yes.
Good Olivier versus not so good Olivier.
Yes.
Good Branagh versus not so good Branagh. Good Zeffirelli versus not so good Zeffirelli. And just like,
we might have to actually have like a month of TV show adaptations, because there are some interesting TV show episodes coming out. I remember that were out that they had an episode that was strictly Shakespeare based, whether it was because of to the extreme sometimes. And
what show are you thinking of?
Oh gosh, there are several. The first one that comes to mind is the episode of Moonlighting. Atomic Shakespeare. Everything
is always comes back to Moonlighting. The first musical episode, Moonlighting.
Yeah.
Shakespeare episode, Moonlighting.
Yeah, the Atomic Shakespeare was great because they did a version of Taming of the Shrew with the 2 lead characters that, is pretty much the Taming of the Shrew for the whole, in a way.
The whole run of the series.
The whole run of the series. So the analogy was already pre-made, and they just went with it, and it was brilliantly done, and the dialogue was great. With just, great little funny phrases like, do birds birdeth? Do bees beateth? Well, hell yes. I mean, just weird, hilarious little bits of that.
I love it. So,
funny,
there's so much to look forward to, and I'm very glad to be doing this with you. So, friends, Shakespeare Reviews begins this Friday evening. So here's how it's going to work. Friday at 5:35 p.m., we're still doing the Shameless Self-Promotion Happy Hour. At 6:35, we're going into Shakespeare Reviews Red Carpet Premiere, which is hosted not by either of us. I'm still going to be working the control board, but not either of us is hosting it. Gwendolyn from The Gwendolyn Show is the host, co-hosted by Paolo Garbanzo, and Jade Davia is going to be judging us harshly. And you can take part in it. We want you to wear your best clothes, wear your best garb if you have it, dress up in however you feel fancy, wear a tuxedo t-shirt because you're formal, but you like the party. So wear it all, send us your pics, talk with us during the show. We're going to be hanging out in the comments and also having a great time. And then at 7:30 is when the premiere of the show actually happens. Our first episode of Zeffirelli's Romeo and Juliet, the 68 classic, is going to be at 7:30 on the Life's Affair channel. And I'll be then sharing it over to this as well, just so we can get it shared in all the places. And Andrew and I, since that part won't be live, we'll be hanging out in the comments, talking a lot.
And it'll be... We'll have a new episode every Friday. I think the future ones are going to come out Friday morning.
Oh, fantastic! Friday mornings are like 9,
something like that.
10, 9 or 10 in the mornings, and it's going to be fantastic. And you want to be there. So new shows weekly every Friday, and the great thing is we record them all in advance, so we can do less work later. We don't have to.
Yeah. Susan Hill is saying that watching this episode of Coffee Break, I'm very dubious that you have been able to keep episodes in 20 minutes.
We don't. It's a goal.
We did all right, considering.
I don't think we went over half an hour.
No.
Because and it's really funny because I'm the one actually more so than Andrew was really funny watching the clock going, all right, cool. Yes. It was very much the stage manager part of my brain is turning on saying, all right, we're at 5, we're at 4, we're at 3. Okay, cool. We are over by 1. We are over by 2. And it's really funny. Not that I am any less loquacious, but I just stopped talking faster.
But we also stuck to one topic, which I think that's the difference. It's a lot easier when you're trying to concentrate on one thing.
Susan, thank you so much for adding the profile frame. And I can actually see that right there at the bottom of the screen. Yeah. Yes, there's a profile frame for you if you want. You can get basically Shakespeare Reviews as a profile frame. I believe Lee put that together?
Yes.
So go to Life's Affair on Facebook, facebook.com/Life's Affair, and also lifesaffair.com to get all the information about that. go sign up saying to the event saying that you're going to be there. I'm going to be sharing all of that out again as soon as we get off the air here. And it's going to be a delightful time. Andrew, down there in Texas, the stars at night shine big and bright. On my screen, that was in sync, and that is so weird because that never happens.
I tried.
Oh my God, that was amazing. Well, thank you so very much for being here. Go follow him on all the things. Go follow Life's a Faire on all the things. It's all there in the links. And it's time for me to close up the show. So, friends, this has been Shakespeare's Coffee Break. I am your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare, and this is my coffee break. Once again, thank you to the wonderful people at Hill Storage and Rigging Company for supporting today's show. You can find them at hillrigging.com and calling 717-944-7676. And friends, I just also like to tell you about all the other wonderful things that are happening in the Shakespeare universe. On Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m., you can watch Nat 21 Adventures. It's the Dungeons and Dragons role-playing game performed by Renaissance performers. I am your host and guard voice for that show. It's DM'd by Paolo Garbanzo. And right now it's featuring players from the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair, and that's going to be going through the end of October. And you can sign up for our special Halloween game coming up. Tickets for that go on sale this Friday. Talking Trek is Thursday night at 6 p.m. where Brian, the co-producer of the Connecticut Renaissance Fair, and I talk some Trek. We're in the middle of 23 weeks of brand new Star Trek. Right now, we're kind of going every 2 weeks with the show, but that gives us more Star Trek to talk about at any given moment. We're talking about Lower Decks right now, and it is fabulous. If you're not watching it, go watch it. It's just delightful. Of course, our red carpet premiere for Shakespeare Reviews is this Friday. So at 5:35, we're doing Shakespeare's Shameless Self-Promotion Happy Hour. At 6:30, the red carpet premiere. And then at 7:30, Zeffirelli's 1968 Romeo and Juliet is going to be the first episode of Shakespeare Reviews. New episodes every Friday morning after that. And of course, the Shakespeareans. Right now, it's still scheduled for September 23rd, but we're moving it to Saturday, October 3rd, going to be an afternoon show because I want you to join me for a fun Renaissance Fair experience that we haven't been able to have this year. So come and join me. We're going to be doing Romeo and Juliet, the Flying Implement of Doom edition, and also see how that stacks up to Zeffirelli's Romeo and Juliet. I mean, just like, obviously, they're on a level with each other. So I'd like to thank Andrew McKee, the Irish Bard, for being the guest here today. And friends, if you have enjoyed this show half as much as I've enjoyed performing it, then I've obviously enjoyed it twice as much as you did, and that's called math. And whatever you feel that show is worth in your heart of hearts, the cockle of your heart, the subcockle, your left big toe, your neighbor's pocket, please throw it into my hat. And by hat, I mean go to coffee.com. That's ko-fi.com/Shakespeare. Coffee.com, that's where you can buy your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare a cup of coffee, which I drink in nice, loud, noisy slurps for the internet. It's great audio. And you can also become a Patreon of the arts by going to patreon.com/Shakespeare. The next Patreon hangout is coming up soon, and you get lots of fun goodies over there, as well as getting a $5 discount to coming to the Shakespeareans on Saturday, October 3rd. So thank you so very much for being here. I love you. You love me. There's mutual glorious affection. I'll see you again tomorrow at 3:05. Cheers.